July 8, 2014, Belo Horizonte, Brazil. The Mineirão Stadium. Brazil had reached the World Cup semifinal on home soil. 62,000 people inside that stadium believed they were about to watch history. They did not know what was coming. He was there. He is always there. The scoreboard. Minute 29. 5 goals. 29 minutes. The worst defeat in Brazil's history was happening in real time. He watched the whole thing. And then he stood up. What if it hadn't happened at all? The screen shatters. Go back. July 8th, minute 11, before the first goal. But in this timeline, something is different. The observer steps into the alternate world. The Brazilian goalkeeper made the save. The game ended 1-0 to Brazil. An ugly, desperate, undeserved 1-0. Brazil survived. In the stands, 62,000 mannequin figures did not cry. He watched it all from the empty upper tier. But this is not a story about the semifinal. It is a story about what happens next. July 13th, 2014, the World Cup final. Brazil Stadium, Rio de Janeiro. Brazil versus Argentina, a World Cup final between the two greatest rivals in football history. Nothing like this had ever happened before. A World Cup final between neighbors. He stood at the edge of the pitch. He had seen this rivalry from the inside. He had never seen it here. But one player was not supposed to be there. The Brazilian star had fractured a vertebra in the quarterfinal. In the real 2014 World Cup, his tournament was over. In this alternate 2014, the medical team cleared him. Against all reasonable judgment, he would play the final. The observer noticed. He always noticed the things that were about to break. The final began. It was the most electric football match ever played. Argentina were sharper. They had not played a semifinal that nearly broke them. And then, in the 37th minute, Argentina scored. 1-0, and the observer felt something shift. Halftime. The dressing rooms, and in one corner, the player who should not have been playing sat with his hand pressed against his lower back. The second half started. Brazil pushed. They had everything to play for. Minute 68. The injured Brazilian star received the ball 20 meters from goal. He shot. 1-1. Brazil had equalized. And at the moment of impact, something in his back had also broken. The observer saw it happen. The price of the equalizer. The manager made a decision. The player stayed on. Extra time. Both teams exhausted. Both teams knowing that whoever flinched would lose the World Cup. Minute 104 of extra time. Argentina broke forward, and the injured Brazilian tracked back. He made the tackle, but he did not get up. The observer stood completely still as the player was carried off. His World Cup final was over. After the final whistle, it was time for the penalties. Brazil converted 3. Argentina converted 2. The fourth Brazilian stepped up, and he scored, unleashing a big wave of joy in the stadium. And then came Argentina's final penalty. Score it, and the shootout continues. Miss it, and Brazil wins the World Cup. He took the shot, but the goalkeeper got a hand to it, and after a moment of silence, the stadium exploded with yellow color and chants. Brazil had won the World Cup! The observer did not move for a long time. Then, on the podium, the Brazilian captain lifted the trophy on home soil in front of 78,000 people. It was what 40 million Brazilians had dreamed of since the moment the draw was made. But the observer was already thinking about the cost. The player who scored the equalizer, who made the tackle, who carried the team, left the field on a stretcher and never played a World Cup again. The observer stood in an empty stadium, the Mineirão again, in 2018. He was thinking about what the 2014 World Cup had cost the player who won it for Brazil. In the real 2014 World Cup, the one where Germany scored 7, a different kind of damage was done. Brazil lost the 7-1, and the trauma of that result shaped the country's football for years. But in the alternate world, the wound took a different shape. Brazil had the trophy, but they had won it with a player who would never fully recover. The observer understood this. He always did. In the real world, our world, Brazil fell apart in 2014. They lost 7-1. They were humiliated on home soil. But the trauma also did something the alternate world's trophy never could. It forced Brazilian football to look at itself honestly. The observer saw both worlds, the one that celebrated and the one that burned. Which world is better? The one that won and lost a player, or the one that lost 7-1 and was forced to rebuild? He did not have an answer. That was not his role. What we know is this: the 7-1 happened. It was real, and the pain it caused was real. But alternate history does not exist to make us feel better about the past. It exists to ask better questions. What does it cost to win? What does it cost to lose? And which cost in the end makes you stronger? Brazil won a World Cup in 2014 that they never actually won. But in losing the real one, they found something the trophy could never give them: